All right, boxing fans around the world, court is now in session. Dana White versus Oscar De La Hoya. What the hell is going on? Okay, look, first, I have a quick Canelo fielding prediction video coming out tonight, today, whatever. Minimal effort, but I want to throw it out there. And then, of course, a reaction because I'm going to order the DAZN, DAZN, what the hell ever, however you say it, tonight and watch the fight. But first, I really want to talk about this. I find it incredibly entertaining, interesting. I mean, these two guys are just losing their damn mind. Okay, just to give you the quick backstory, Golden Boy Promotion puts on their first MMA pay-per-view event, Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. I'm sure you guys have heard, right? Unless you're like living under a rock, okay? Now, in the process, you have Oscar De La Hoya claiming Dana White isn't paying the UFC fighters enough money, so they all need to come on over to Golden Boy Promotion so they can be fairly compensated and looked after. And this is where things get completely insane, okay? So right out the bat, box, what the hell ever. How do you do that? Right off the bat, something like that. You get it. Okay, you have Dana White all over social media, ESPN, to anyone that will listen, calling Oscar De La Hoya a cokehead, you know, talking about snorting 12 pounds of coke. He's a liar. He's not a fan of facts. Doesn't even know the name of the fighters on the card, you know, on the Golden Boy card, other than Liddell and Ortiz. Oscar De La Hoya then challenges Dana White to a boxing match. I mean, it just went completely crazy, right? So let's break it down a little bit. Okay. Starting with Liddell and Ortiz, okay? Dana White claims he paid Chuck Liddell more money not to fight than Oscar De La Hoya paid Liddell to fight. He said Chuck Liddell made $250,000 against Ortiz, but the UFC has been paying Chuck Liddell over $400,000, nearly $500,000 since 2011 up to 2017 or something like that. You know, he's getting royalties, making appearances, you know, doing all, you know, merchandise, all types of things for the UFC, making a ton of money, you know, outside of the octagon. You know, making a lot more money than Oscar paid him, okay? But Oscar, you know, his sales pitch is come on over because Dana White's ripping you off, okay? Now, just to throw out some numbers for you, Dana White says Oscar De La Hoya says Chuck Liddell only made $200,000 in the original Tito Ortiz fight. You know, and this goes back to, we'll get to that in a minute, the original fight, okay? Did 1.5, or he said it did, or he said it did 1.5 million pay-per-view buys, when the facts are, during the first UFC 47, I believe, April 2nd, 2004, the fight only did like 100 and something pay-per-view buys, okay, not 1.5 million. So again, you know, Oscar De La Hoya is claiming that, you know, he paid him $200,000 for like 1.5 million pay-per-view buys, but this was the original fight in 2004, okay? It didn't do 1.5 million, it did somewhere around 100,000 buys, okay? Now, and here's the bombshell, the total payout for athlete compensation, okay, on the Golden Boy Promotion pay-per-view event, like the grand total that Oscar paid the fighters was $580,000, okay? That's all the fighters collectively together, $580,000. Chuck Liddell and Ortiz took home $450,000 between the two, meaning the rest of the damn card only got like 90 or 95,000 between all of them. That's the undercard, the co-main event. You know, there was something like 17 fights leading up to the televised pay-per-view, actual televised event. You know, so so guys were, you know, it's crazy to me. You know, crazy to me that how do you spread like $90,000? You know, between everyone else, like you're paying, you know, the two top guys, you know, 400, nearly $500,000, and then just like handing out crumbs. I mean, basically, you know, handing out crumbs. You know, like I said, the other 20 guys were completely ripped off and underpaid. You know, so basically, Golden Boy Promotion, you know, walked away with millions and millions of dollars, right? But you know, standing in the media spotlight, acting like Robin Hood, you know, stealing from the rich and giving to the damn poor, you know, and by the way, Oscar De La Hoya couldn't even remember their names, okay? Couldn't even remember the guys' names fighting on the card. So, a few more facts, okay? The UFC pays the co-main event and undercard fighters on average around $1.2 million, okay? It's a completely different structure than boxing. I'm sure you guys know. You know, you can't really compare the two because they're two completely different business models. I'm talking about boxing and UFC. One is a long-term kind of financial stability. The other one is get as much as you can in one shot, being boxing, right? Oscar De La Hoya claims he's going to take over the UFC. He's going to, like, basically be the new Dana White, right? Be the new Dana White of, the world, and just take them down with his new Golden Boy MMA Octagon, what the hell ever promotional company. So that's basically the story in a nutshell. So let me give you my personal opinion, okay? Dana White made a point about boxing pay-per-views, and this really, it really hit a nerve with me in a good way, though. It really kind of hit home. Sometimes people say things and it just really, makes a lot of sense, right? He was saying basically that, they all the boxing promoters in general, he said they act like it's a going out of business sell. He was saying that all of these promoters act like every pay-per-view event is the last one, so they need to get as much money as possible. They don't look at it like a sustainable business. They try to get as much as they can and get the hell out of Dodge. That's exactly what he said. Instead of looking at it like an actual business, taking care of your consumer. In other words, don't charge, $90 for a garbage mismatch pay-per-view, and spread the wealth, and that's what they don't do. I mean, we all know. We've all been ripped off on pay-per-views, things like that. So, and he was basically saying in the UFC, they don't do that. They try to spread the money a little, a little more evenly, that kind of thing. And I get it. I understand. I mean, and it makes sense to me. Okay. He's talking about how, guys like Mayweather and Pacquiao eat up all the boxing dollars. Now it's Canelo and whoever the next pay-per-view star may be. It basically doesn't leave enough to go around. And he's absolutely right. It's like the top 10%, the top 10% of boxing owns 90% of the boxing wealth. Think about it, just like in our society, right? The top 10% of the rich people in the world own 90% of the wealth. And it's like that in boxing, to where, in UFC, it's really not like that. Yeah, you have your Conor McGregor, things like that, but, he's a standalone guy. Like I think the upper half, and look, instead of the upper half, splitting it evenly, it was just it was an absolute brilliant comment. Okay. I mean, like I said, it really hit a nerve with me, and I think it should be spread evenly is what I'm trying to say, because, think about that. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like that would completely change the way we look at boxing, the way boxing operates. I mean, you wouldn't have all these promoters like trying to just put on these bullshit events and take all your money, so, I got respect for that. I do, so anyway, back to my personal opinion. I see right and wrong on both sides, right? I think Oscar De La Hoya feels like, he's conquered the boxing promotional world, especially after the Gennady Golovkin, rematch, which may be trilogy, who knows? He said he wanted like 4 or 5 fights, and now he wants to tap into the whole MMA, UFC, whatever side of things, but he's going about it the wrong way. He's trying to attack Dana White in order to gain notoriety and attention, but in doing so, he's making himself look like a complete ass, okay? Now, Dana White, on the other hand, needs to get his damn emotions in check, right? He needs to get his emotions in check. He's coming across like a pissed-off hothead, hurling out insults and accusations. He needs to stick to the facts and basically outsmart Oscar De La Hoya. It's not a hard thing to do, we know, But I would probably have to side with Dana White. If you told me to pick a side, I'd probably have to side with Dana White in the whole situation, I mean, I don't want to go into a 30-minute rant explanation, but I feel like he follows a business model. And if you're fighting for the UFC, you are aware of that particular business model, right? You basically know what you signed up for, so don't cry about it when you don't get your way. If you're a fighter, you know what you signed up for, right? It's just like any other job. You know what you're going to make before you start the job. You don't start the job and then complain about how much money you're making. Everyone can't be, McGregor or Mayweather or Pacquiao, that kind of thing. So, like I said, I see right and wrong on both sides. I think Dana needs to get his damn emotions in check, and Oscar needs to, just quit lying. He's lying. Just like Dana White says, he's just lying, okay? He's talking about how Richard Schaefer created Golden Boy. Dana White did, and he did. We all know that. Richard Schaefer is behind the creation of Golden Boy promotion, and basically they use Oscar De La Hoya and his connections with HBO, as leverage. Basically, Richard Schaefer did brilliantly, kind of like Al Heyman does, and here, and now we have, probably the biggest promoter around. I mean, who's bigger than Golden Boy right now? Who? I mean, top rank, maybe, but I'd probably give it to Golden Boy, so, but like I said, I'll probably leave it at that. I just wanted to kind of throw it out there and tell you guys what I think about it, But everything I've heard out of Oscar De La Hoya, I mean, honestly, it's been a lie. It's either been, he's got bad information, or, maybe he misspoke. I don't know. But I don't think he should go after Dana White, how he's ripping off these guys in the UFC. Maybe he is. I mean, I'm sure. Look, I can actually give you, an example of times that he did rip people off, right? I mean, but, all in all, like I said, these guys know what they signed up for. It's not like boxing. You can't compare, UFC to boxing. You simply can't. From a financial aspect, you can't. So, I don't know, guys. What do you think? I mean, I'd love to hear what you think. I mean, I know it's kind of a touchy subject, but, yeah, I'm going to get on that Canelo Fielding prediction. And it's going to be a quick one. It's going to be a quick one because I'm going to watch the fight tonight, and I'll be back with my reaction.